2019 was just under $90 million. The bottom of column B here is what's been invoiced to date. And so we've spent just about 30 million to 29 million. We've contracted, of the 90, we've contracted for 73 million. And this is what's been recently contracted and recently billed. But again, of the 30 million that's been paid out, we're looking at about, well, just under 17 million that we estimate as being eligible for reimbursement. And of that 16.6 or $16.7 million, we're estimating that about 13.3 million will be reimbursed by the MSBA. So we have been submitting our invoices on a regular basis. We're probably due after, maybe after Bacon's Rec, which I believe is going to be in the neighborhood of $4 million this month. We can submit our next reimbursement request. But this is as expected. Overall, we're doing well on our contingency and preparation for talking about change orders that we want to get approved. So far to date, we have spent just under $900,000. We've spent 898,000. But that's about 1.5% of our construction total project cost. So it's not, we're about 40% through construction. So, overall, we're doing pretty well. Again, we did have 1.8 million in bid savings that can be incorporated, that we've incorporated in the project budget. And if need be, we can use that for additional FF&E or additional changes that may come up along the way. So financially, we're in a very good position. We do have a number of PCOs to talk about tonight, and we can go through those individually, but overall, big picture, we're doing pretty good.
Okay.
Any questions on budget or finances in general? Okay, Christian, maybe you can pull up, because I know that you did some tweaking to our list of PCOs to review.
Sure, I can bring up narrative that went out to the subcommittee. I got it to Steve on Tuesday morning. Just one sec, share screen. Great, can everybody see that Word document okay?
Yep.
So these are PCOs. So on this list, we've included some new ones that we've received. So those are at the top. And then we've also included what was approved previously at the last school building committee meeting. Those were approved by the entire school building committee, and we agreed that they get wrapped into change order number 10, which is what we're drafting right now. So we've let Bacon know that those were approved. So they've been able to move ahead on those, which is great. It's hard to believe, but since Tuesday morning, we've received a few more, and I know that it's not really fair to put this committee in that position of approving even more PCOs than you had time to review. We've included them here. We hope to discuss them this afternoon. If you are feeling comfortable with them, some of them are relatively small. It would be great to approve as many as we can and include them in change order number 10. And if we have to push them back to the whole school building committee meeting in 2 weeks, then I think that's how that goes. But I can start going through these one by one, if that would be helpful. We'll start with 117. So this one was some adding plywood at the B-wing soffits. This is at our roof line on the B-wing. They first sent it to us at a value of about $14,000. We pushed back pretty hard on the quantities and the labor, It's now been revised, and we think that it's at a much more accurate number of 5,463. This next one for the canopy footings is the largest one for the evening. This originally came through at 130,000. I think we, talked about it in the abstract with this committee so that folks were aware of it. But we went back and forth with Bacon and EDA trying to refine the foundation design for these canopies. It's come down to 80,733. We're still in discussions with Bacon on this item. I'm not sure if it will come down further, but we're at least exploring options, and we at least want to make sure that they're doing it right. There's some confusion over what type of foundation footing should go right next to the building and which one can be a little bit further away from the building. So we're asking the committee to approve this at a not to exceed amount, understanding that there's a slight chance that it might be able to go down a little bit further, and that discussions are still ongoing. Kind of a similar situation with the cafeteria metal panels. We presented this one to the committee at the last time we met at an $18,000 figure. The committee asked us to kind of look at that again and look at some other options. So we looked at tile, we looked at doing it in wood. We looked at simplifying the number of colors. So this is all one color, but still being a mixture of perforated panel where we get that acoustic benefit, and then non-perforated panel next to the doors, so we don't get gum stuck in between the little perforated holes. Bacon has not received accurate pricing on this reduction yet, but they thought that it would be in this ballpark. So again, for this one, we're asking for a not to exceed of $12,000. Feel free to stop me at any time if there's one you want to talk about in particular. 157 is fire protection hose cabinets, which were larger than anticipated in the design process. So we had to shift some of them. And then on a few of them, we had to build an additional chase to conceal the fire protection hose cabinets. That came in at 3,941. 159 is kind of a token deduct change. We were thinking about asking them to detect them in lots of different colors. They said, that's going to be an ad. We said, okay, what if we just do it all in one color? I said, okay, you can save 500 bucks. So there's a token deduct for that.
Christian, perhaps we should consider just not allowing 159 to show them we're bigger than they are for charging us the $500 for the extra 1.5 feet in the elevator.
That could be a helpful statement, Mark. I agree. On 160, this is they're going to cut back the slabs for the curtain wall opening. This is the curtain wall that's going between 2 stories of the building, and was kind of a complicated detail. And so they poured the edge of the slab, and now to have that curtain wall come back, we need to cut it back a little bit. Luckily, we can do this without changing any of the structure or anything of that nature. So it's at $2,952. 163, this is a new soffit in Hall B100B. This is yet another one that we're asking for a not to exceed at $3,365. We want to be able to approve these as quickly as possible once we agree on them. So that's why we're kind of asking for your blessing tonight. But again, we looked at these quantities and we think that they seemed a little bit off to us. So we pushed back, and we haven't received word back yet from Bacon, but since this is in the process and everything's moving so quickly, we're asking for a not to exceed on that one. 166 is sprinkler coverage in the cafeteria and platform, and this was just some additional sprinkler heads needed with the latest steel sizes and duct layouts at 9,236.
I have a quick question, Christian.
Shoot, yep.
Have the B-wing fire suppression shop drawings been approved? And is this the end of the changes regarding fire suppression in the B-wing?
That's a good question, Wayne. I'm not sure off the top of my head. B-wing. based on how we've seen these come through, I think so, but I can try and check with Aviva and Hesner.
Thank you.
Let you know. 173, I know Matt knows a lot more about this one than I do, but basically as they've been excavating down by the Pearl Street entry, they found some unsuitable soils right at that area. It's kind of an interesting condition where the top layers are great, granular soils. Then there's this layer of rock, which seems to be supporting everything. And then underneath that are some, very old logs and organic materials, and then water below that. So basically, I think it's only really going to be an issue where they need to excavate that far down for the utilities coming up into the site. So where they're excavating that far down for putting in these new utilities, they will take out those unsuitable soils. They will refill it with structural fill. And so that's this not to exceed number. And Matt and Colliers have agreed to track this on a time and materials basis, which I think is a good way to go, because we don't really know what they're going to find. We don't really know how far they're going to have to dig. This is a maximum value, and we can make sure to get the most kind of efficient approach as possible. They're also going to apply a geogrid material on top of the existing soil and below the new gravel and pavement. And that's just kind of an insurance policy for the new road going in, to kind of give this area some more stability. Our geotechnical engineer just thought that was a good kind of conservative but smart approach. They did note that there have been humongous, there's been giant equipment going up and down that road all through construction, and they haven't seen excessive heaving or anything like that to date. So this seems like kind of a good approach to take. Why don't I stop there, since those are the ones that we were able to email out, and see if there are any questions or comments. Or Matt, do you have anything more on that 173?
No, I just wanted to say that, we'll take a, bless you, whoever.
Thank you.
Mark. Since we'll be done on TNM, I mean, it's literally right outside my trailer. So I'll be able to keep a good eye on it. And it may not be to the extent we think as being going towards the retaining walls. So we're thinking it could be the worst case scenario here. It may not be as bad as we think, because they're doing different trenches kind of north of my trailer a bit, and not finding any of this material as they go down. So it may be spotty, but we had to figure that each trench we have to do would encounter it as a worst case scenario. So I'm anticipating it's not going to be as bad as we think from what we've seen so far. But we want to be prepared to, keep on going without having to come back to the well for more money. Should we run out?
Adding to Matt's comments, we met with Chris Coughlin, the city engineer, came out on Tuesday at 11 a.m. and met with Bacon Construction and Maurice Brothers. I guess this has been an ongoing issue throughout the city with other water projects going on, and they've been experiencing the same thing that we're experiencing, and they've recommend basically the same thing that we're doing now. So we'll basically haul out the material that's bad, put good material in, and move on.
All right. Any other questions, discussion?
Great. I'm going to keep going on this next session. So this is, again, what was approved previously at the last school building committee, changing the breakout rooms, a door frame, some water pressure testing for some sinks, blocking to support some expansion joints. Are folks still seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have the green highlight around it anymore, but okay, great. Roof overhang assemblies. This one, and I'll cover that a little bit below, but so this was a different situation found at the Pearl Street entrance. The sewer line is very, very close to the water line in the street. And so after reviewing it, again, Wayne came out very quickly, as did the DPW, and Bacon and Fuss and O'Neill were there as well. They thought it was better to take the sewer line and kind of extend it a bit more to the west to an existing sewer manhole instead of where they had originally planned on doing it. So it's a little bit more, the sewer line's a little bit longer within the Pearl Street section. And we're also actually hoping to bump this up. It was approved at 25,000 at the last school building committee meeting, and we're hoping to bump that up to 35,000 tonight. But I'm going to get there. I'll keep going.
Can I just jump in for a second,
Sure.
Christian? One
Yeah.
of the reasons it started off in the 25 range, which is something I didn't take into account. Prior to doing some of this work, they dug a couple of exploratory holes out in Pearl Street, right off the curb, to get some grades of some of the telephone manholes and different things like that. So that cost would be part of this as well. So that I hadn't anticipated when I put my rough number together. So that's why part of the reason why we need to bump this up an additional 10 grand, just to be on the safe side. That's it.
And then another one that we had talked about long ago was this ice and water shield layer that's required under the metal roof. We had indicated in some areas of the metal roof, but not under the whole thing. There's some back and forth on whether the manufacturer should have in fact required it or not. The committee had approved it as not to exceed of 20,000. And Bacon worked with the quantities with the roofer and has come back with this reduced price of $13,007. So that was the draft that that was emailed out. And then there were a few that have been new since Monday, and we'll go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One is to modify the fire rated. They're pretty small windows, but it's actually a curtain wall product. So that's what the CW stands for, curtain wall. So there we have a few windows right near the connecting corridors, and there's a code requirement that basically any openings within 10 feet of those connecting corridors be fire rated. And during the shop drawing review process, these fire rated windows, they have to support this pretty thick glass. So it needed more blocking than the standard window detail. So we added an additional layer of blocking around the window. And then we also have to wrap that with the air vapor barrier. So that additional cost came to $3,832. On 168, this was related to PCO 143 that we've reviewed previously. This was for the overhead coiling doors between the cafeteria and the kitchen. We had talked about removing the power supply to those doors, but then it was also requested that we look at adding motors to those overhead coiling doors to see what that price would come in at. So the price for adding the motors is $7,774, and it, will ease the process of closing down the kitchen between the kitchen and the cafeteria. This one, 169, already discussed, so bringing it from the 25,000 that was already approved up to 35,000. 171 is a very small change. There was an Eyewash model, Eyewash station in the nurse suite that was approved, and then during shop drawing process, it was realized that it wouldn't meet MAB requirements, so a change of $562. The wall pad portion, this is to add wall pads to the comm rooms that do not have seams. We had included kind of more of like a gym style wall pad in the comm rooms. This is a different type where they roll it out. It's 6 feet high and does not have seams. we also added it to one more room. So it's not only the price difference between that gym pad and this new seamless pad, but also adding it to one more room. And that price difference is coming up to $18,171. And then finally, this is wall supports at the 3rd floor above the gym. This is just at the edge of our slab of the third floor slab above the gym area for $2,002 to add some blocking up there. It's a complicated area where the slab actually goes out, which was not picked up in the shop drawings. And if they can act now, they can utilize scaffolding that's already in the area from the mason. And so that's why they're asking for expedited approval for 178. Any questions on?
I'd like to go back to 176.1 wall padding.
Yes.
I'm going to recommend that be excluded from this approval list because the 18 grand is really not much, is not significantly better than what was originally specified. And I can't justify 18 grand without, I need a lot more information.
I guess, yeah, Christian, what's the cost of the additional room?
That's a great question.
This is more basically, Mark, with the padding went from a gym wall padding
Yeah.
to a wrestling mat padding.
Yeah,
So
I remember that whole discussion.
Yeah.
My question is if if it's 18,000 and 12,000 is because we're adding a room, then I think that, I can understand that a little bit more. I have no idea how much it costs to do the additional room. And I think that's the important question.
Yep, I think so. They submitted this in 2 different. This is a revised version. So the first version came in at 14,552, and I think that was without the additional room. So I think just the difference in cost of the pads between the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 comm rooms that we already had was a $14,500 difference, and then another, roughly $4,000 difference for that extra room.
So it costs, what you're telling me is it costs $4,000 to do a room, and it costs what, roughly $3,000 some odd dollars to just upgrade? That doesn't sound
no, there's
reasonable.
confusion here. There's confusion here, Mark, because the padding, I specified a padding, or I suggested a padding, 2 padding manufacturers on 8-3 to Christian or the design team. And then on 10/26, I was contacted from Bacon saying that they were struggling to find a manufacturer. And then 11/3, this PCO comes out, and it really doesn't meet the needs of our students and what Joyce is anticipating. So I'd like to hold off on this one and just dig a little bit deeper into it.
Okay, but how long can we hold off before this slows up the project? Because obviously, like, I have no idea like how back ordered this kind of padding is. I don't want to, because when we open, we have to have these rooms open. So
well, but I think the other part is though, is if this is something that Joyce doesn't think is appropriate, I don't want to move forward with something. Is that what you were saying, Wayne?
Well, I think the big reason we didn't want we were concerned about the padding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne, but it was because the cleaning of the gym pad, like the pads, that they look like they're underneath a basketball hoop, and so they have these grooves, and kids actually defecate sometimes in some of these rooms, and they smear it on the walls. Are more severe cases, so we were concerned about the cleaning of this. So we wanted to have basically no seams in the padding, so it would be easy to clean for those really difficult cases. They're rare, but they happen.
The other sticking point is there's an 1.5 inch lip on top of the pads. And the big concern is the kids will climb the walls. And that's a serious concern. We just recently addressed an issues at the Elm Street School with small
So-
protrusions that are sticking out 1.5 inches. We had to make everything flush because we had one student that liked to actually climb the walls. So that was one of Joyce's biggest concerns, is the kids jumping up and hanging on the walls and getting hurt.
And that's for the seamed version or the flat version?
That's for both versions. Because the ones that go underneath, the ones that look like the ones that go underneath the basketball hoop, and the ones they're presenting now are basically the same thing. One's like goes under the basketball hoop. The other one is a wrestling wall padding mat. And it still has 1.5 to 2 inch lip on the top of it. And it'll be actually lower than the 7 feet that we originally were anticipating. So I have concerns about the kids jumping up and falling down and getting hurt.
So would it make more sense to maybe do a not to exceed? Because obviously it sounds like you don't really know what the product's going to be necessarily yet, but at least that'll give the possibility to look into it.
I'd rather defer to the next building committee, the full building committee. And then that way it'll give us a deadline to have a firm, an absolute best case solution to this issue.
Yeah, I want the best case solution to this issue too, but I also don't want to just defer it to the full committee, which might slow the process down. If we did a not to exceed, a scenario would be that, you and Joyce or whoever finds the right product and they're able to just start implementing it rather than waiting till the next building committee.
I'll do whatever you want.
Wayne, at this point, are you leaning towards rejecting the PCO and going back to the gym pad? Or
At this point, I really am, because I mean, I
Yeah.
want to reach out to, honestly, I want to reach out to Gold Medal and Advanced Padding. For them, Advanced to come back and say it's going to be 220 grand for 6
Yeah.
rooms is
Yeah.
absolute bullshit. Sorry for my language, but it really irks me that we talked about this, and this has been a real thorn in my side. And we talked about this. I presented manufacturers to you and your design team on 8/3, and to have the general contractor come back to me on 10/26, all frustrated, saying, "I got nothing. What do you have?" Because you live this world. We just need to move on. And we put so much time and effort, and we spent a lot of money trying to get these rooms right, and they're very important for our population. And I want to do it right and get it right once and not go back. And putting wrestling mats, I'm sensitive to that because the previous facilities director, cut up wrestling mats and stuck them to the wall on one of our calm down rooms. And, that wasn't acceptable. So that kind of makes me sensitive. So I just want to get it right and do it once.
I totally agree, Wayne. And we've also been frustrated at the time delays to get pricing. I mean, I assume Bacon is also frustrated with that, but yeah, I don't know what to.
And I'll reach out to the manufacturers that I know and see if I can hammer out some pricing.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, to your point on delaying the project, we have a little while on this. I hope that postponing it 2 weeks, if that's all we're doing to the next school building committee, I think that would be pretty inconsequential. I'd be nervous about going beyond that, but I think that,
All right. So we have 2 weeks. So let's put it off to the next school building committee unless somebody else has a different idea. Hearing none. Let's do that.
any other items that folks want to review or have questions on. Great.
All right. Any other information, Christian, for your architects? I'm assuming that was your architect update.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Very good. Any old or new business or other business to come before the subcommittee?
I'd recommend that we approve the change orders as presented.
So is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Excellent. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it, but we have to make sure that one is taken out. I don't know what the number is. It's gone now.
176.1.
Wayne's
Or
memorized it.
thereabouts.
PR 31R.
So the motion that Wayne made, then, correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne, is that the PCOs except for 176.1 to approve all the others.
Yes, and
That
the
your motion?
amount was 18,171, if anyone cares.
176.1, okay. And Jen, you seconded. Any
Yeah.
discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, let's put the matter to a vote. Brenda, would you mind calling the roll?
Superintendent Pellegrino. He said yes.
Yes.
Wayne Anderson,
Yes,
Robert Hankinson,
I'm going to vote no as a token protest.
Jennifer Pelavin,
Yes.
and Mark Hawk. I'll vote yes. It passes.
Very good. Any other business? I see no public. Our next meeting is December 1st, 2021. There's no need for executive session. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Pelavin. Thank you, Mr. Hawk, for seconding. All in favor? Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Nobody's opposed, and you better not be opposed. Very good. We are adjourned on at 4:37. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.